Okay, so we're in the final stretch before Stipe versus Jones, the big showdown outside the old folks' home, as Tom has framed it. So I want to take a look at how things have progressed since the last time I discussed it. You know, Dana has been banging the Jon Jones drum nonstop. Aspinall has been showing some teeth in pursuing undisputed status, and Stipe versus Jones is finally official. But what better place to start than Tom's side-splitting, gut-busting skit? MMA fighters are doing so many skits these days, they're going to have to add that category to the MMA awards shows. At the 2024 awards, the best short skit in the comedy or musical genre does not go to Tom Aspinall, I'm afraid.
When you talk about who's the baddest dude in the world, you put two guys in a room and who walks out? Jon Jones walks out of the fucking room every time.
Exactly right, Dana. We need to get Jon in a room first.
So Dana made a statement that if two men enter a room, Jon walks out every time. And Aspinall kind of spun that as, yeah, exactly. He would walk out because he's avoiding me like the fucking plague. At least that's what I think Tom is going for. But the premise is solid. You know, Jon is avoiding him. He wouldn't even do a face-off with Tom for fear of it being used to hype a potential fight. But then the skit proceeds in a pretty weird direction of Aspinall looking around his gym for Jones.
Let's go and find the room. Hello, Jon? Jon?
I mean, I think it's like he's seeing Jon on social media doing these things, so then he's thinking he's seeing Jones in his gym. I don't get it. So like, there's a clip of Jon Jones cycling outside, and then Aspinall approaches what is very clearly a white guy on a stationary bike inside his gym.
Sorry, mate. I thought it was someone else. Sorry.
I mean, I know, I'm nitpicking. Tom was just trying to have some fun, but I think this skit kind of speaks to one of the issues Tom has with respect to selling or creating a beef. He doesn't really have an edge. Like, this skit is so innocent and inoffensive. He's not down the local crack house looking for Jon. He's not leaning into Guru's meme and checking if Jones is in the closet. It's all very light and playful. Some fans were suggesting that Tom look under the octagon, which would have been very clever. And then in the end, he finally spots Jon. And the big punchline is, it's a duck. So, you know. You also get this very strange final scene where you've got Tom Aspinall dressed up as a huge humanoid rubber duck weeping on a park bench. You know, I thought you had to go to the dark web to find stuff like this. I mean, you know this is somebody's fucked up fetish. The duck face looks like they came from the same seedy shop you get them old blow-up dolls in. And isn't Tom the one who said he's crying about the fight?
I'm trying to get the fight, obviously. I'm a little bit upset about it. I've had a bit of a cry. Here and there about it, do you know what I mean? But
so, like, does the crying represent Jones, or does it represent us? Fuck it, I don't follow. I can't follow the whole fucking thing. Anyway, I don't see skits as the way for Tom to pick a fight here, so moving on.
This video resurfaced from 2016 where you're sitting next to Tommy Fury and you were talking about going into boxing. You said MMA was just, wasn't really paying off financially, things like that. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I've seen it recently. I mean, I'm off social media at the moment. I've been off social media for quite a while, but...
There you have it from the heavyweight champion. He stays off social media. I've heard that from multiple fighters recently. I really think social media and screens will one day be seen as the mental health equivalent of smoking. And I'd say our generations will be like the way people dying of cancer used to talk about smoking. My doctor used to fucking prescribe cigarettes. What are you talking about, bad for you? But the big takeaway from this interview was the following.
I don't know what's happening. Like, that's kind of out of my hands. All I know that the next fight is going to be for an undisputed title. That's it. I won't do anything else. My next fight, I'll fight anybody, as always, as I have done throughout my whole career. You can ask any of the UFC matchmakers that. But right now, I'm the best UFC heavyweight in the world. I'm fighting for undisputed title next.
As we now know, Tom has since stepped up as a backup fighter for the Jones versus Stipe fight. And immediately, one of the big takeaways from guys like Cormier was that neither guy is going to fight Tom on short notice. But the thing is, Tom has for months been insisting that his next fight is going to be for the undisputed belt.
Would you take one before the end of the year?
if it was for the undisputed title, I'm in. I'll fight anybody for the undisputed title. I want to fight undisputed. I've earned it. I'm ranked #1 in the world on all the rankings. I'm obviously interim champion, defended it, beat everybody in the UFC I fought and finished every single one of them, including 6 guys who are in the top 10 at the moment. Undisputed for me next. That's all I'm doing. That's what I'm doing next. I deserve it.
And I do think that if someone pulls out of UFC 309 and the remaining fighter won't fight Tom, it's not that I don't think Dana would be brazen enough to announce Tom defending the interim title again, but I think the UFC would be at a point where they really couldn't continue with it. I don't think they could possibly push it any further. The fight would have fallen through twice. Now, they could try and make it again in 6 months or a year, but by that time, Tom could be on defense number 3 or 4. And there's still no guarantee that third time would even be the charm with Jones and Stipe. So I think the big thing here is that even if neither guy will face Tom on short notice, an injury in the main event might actually result in Tom holding the undisputed belt by the end of the year.
John got one win in the heavyweight division. I've got 9 all finishes. So 8, I think, all finishes. I'm not sure. But I've done a lot more. I'm not saying my resume is better than Jon Jones's, because it isn't. It's not even close. He's way better than me. But as far as heavyweights go, I'm the best heavyweight in the world. I beat all the contenders, man. That means I'm the best. To me, that means I'm the best. You beat all the contenders. You're the best in the world, and that's it.
You have to feel for the guy. He's kind of suffering under the logical ideal of how a sport should function.
I'm trying to fight the best people out there, that's all. I think I'm the best in the world. If you think otherwise, come and take the belt off me, but it's got to be for the belt.
It's that simple in Tom's head. Of course, it's a futile argument if the UFC aren't on board, but at least by repeating that over and over, he reminds everyone why he is and will be a great champion. He's one of the most game fighters in the whole sport. He epitomizes the philosophy under which we all want the sport to operate.
There's 2 champions in the division. Let's find out who the best guy is. Simple as that.
I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting him. If you think you're the man at heavyweight, I'll take anybody. I'll fight anybody for the undisputed.
Stipe is also 43 years old, coming off a 3-year layoff, and his last fight was a knockout loss. Obviously, he's going to want to take that fight before me, because it's easier, way easier, way easier. And he knows that I'm the tougher fight for him. Like I say, I'm not going to say he's scared of me, because he isn't, but he's smart in his approach, and he's going to fight Stipe before me every time.
Now, this is the stuff I really enjoy from Tom. He gets into the nuts and bolts of what's going on, why the fight doesn't make sense, why he should be fighting. And I think Tom should ramp this up, because there's things that Tom really can't do. He's kind of hampered by his own good nature in a way. Like the skit, for example. It was just so innocent. There's so much to go after Jones for with respect to shit outside the cage, but Tom's just not even going there. He's just not going to do a Dave Chappelle-style skit where he eventually finds John in the crack house. Tom really comes across as a guy who's concerned about what his father might think about how he's promoting fights. He's not going to build a beef rifling through Jones' personal life. It's just not in his wheelhouse. But this stuff, just trampling on the fight, I think is the best angle for him, because all he's doing is talking facts about the state of the division. Jones is arguably the GOAT, but his resume at heavyweight is nothing compared to Tom's. He beat one guy coming off a loss. Jon has 1 fight in over 4.5 years. Stipe hasn't fought in 3.5 years. He hasn't won in over 4 years. So in the last 4 years, these guys have 1 win between the 2 of them. Here's some MMA trivia. Has there ever been a title fight where both guys have been this inactive? Tom later said he's trying to test Jon's ego to get the fight. I think really going after the Stipe fight is how he should do it. Just imagine if Jon runs through Stipe. He's going to be expecting some type of grandiose celebration of his career. Jones is probably hoping that people will see it as him adding the greatest heavyweight of all time to his resume just as he's retiring. Incredible. But I think he's going to be denied that narrative by fans. So he might feel like he's being completely screwed over in a way that does get under his skin and is very personal. So I think Tom should really be a very vocal critic in the lead-up. He already is, but I think he should really lean into it. Undermine the fight at every turn, because when the dust settles, that could be something that gets under Jones' skin. And if he sees Tom as a prominent face of all that criticism, it might be a face that Jon badly wants to punch.
Tom Aspinall maybe the backup for that fight. And while I do understand the notion of that, I was almost in a way like almost disrespectful the way I felt about it because you are a champion.
I totally agree with Damon Martin here. Like, if Stipe pulls out, the guy stepping in is going to be a defending interim champion, and he probably won't even get to fight either guy. Another as-of-yet unnamed fighter is probably going to fill up the other side. Now, I'd say it's less disrespectful and more a function of how badly Tom wants to fight, but it does just seem like they're stringing him along. Stay ready, because if one of the big boys pulls out, you might get your shot.
Yep, I'll be there. I'll do that. And I'd fight them guys on an hour's notice if they needed me to. I can beat both of these guys, no problem. No problem. And if I've got to do it on a day's notice, I can do it easily.
I can beat these guys, no problem. Hours notice. It's just so fucking cool. This is serious confidence. Days notice, hours notice, no problem. So here's Tom on this show they do on TNT. Good show with that guy, Adam Catterall.
We need to get Stipe out of there. Let's be honest, the guy's 43 years old. He's had a 4-year layoff, and his last fight was a knockout loss. Granted, he's an absolute legend in the sport of MMA. He's the best heavyweight ever, statistically. He's the best heavyweight ever, but the guy needs to be pulled out of the race. The guy needs to be Joe Biden, mate. He's too old.
To be fair to Stipe, he's really not too old at heavyweight. He's 42, and a record-holding champion like Stipe getting another crack at the belt, there usually wouldn't be anything wrong with that. But getting another crack at the belt 3 years after losing it, while the division has completely moved on and there's a defending interim champion, no, it just doesn't make any sense. Stipe's last win was August 2020. Aspinall is 8-1 since July 2020. The one loss being the avenged knee injury against Curtis Blades. So since Stipe's last victory, Aspinall is 8 and a freak injury.
Mate, I've taken out now something like 4 or 5 guys in the top 10 in the first round.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Fair play to Stipe. Fair play. He's what I want to do in my career.
Yeah.
I want to be exactly like Stipe. But he isn't relevant right now.
Okay.
Let's find out who the best guy is.
Yeah.
Not two 40-somethings fighting for who the best was 5 years ago. We're talking about right now. And
now he's showing some teeth. Joe Biden, 2 guys in their 40s. You know what the amazing thing about Jon is? The guy is only 37. He's been in the UFC for 16 years. He spent most of that time at the pinnacle of the sport. So it's just bizarre that he's now not even an old heavyweight. I don't think he will, but he could conceivably fight for another 3 or 4 years. I know Jones isn't popular, but my God, the longevity of the guy's career is incredible. But Tom is really campaigning for himself here, which is great. We know he's got a very easy case to make for himself.
In my eyes, and in a lot of people's eyes right now, I'm the #1 heavyweight on the planet. And if Jon Jones is going around saying that he is, I want to fight him. Do you know what I mean? I want to prove that I'm the best.
Here's Dana White after one of the Contender Series.
There was I'm not sure which one of the shows it was, but there was one of the shows, and Francis his name got scrubbed out, right? They didn't say his name, so you couldn't hear it, as if he wasn't part of the UFC.
And it was something that we produced?
Correct.
You know me. If I said we did it, I'd say, yeah, fuck him, and this is why we did it. I know nothing about it. Nobody ever asked me about it, and this is the first we're hearing about it.
Whenever Ngannou comes up, you just want Dana to give it a rest at this point. I'm not saying that because he lost his son, all past disagreements should be forgotten about forever, and Dana should be kissing his ass. But Dana was recently claiming Francis would have made more money if he'd stayed in the UFC. At the very least, could Dana not just make up ridiculous shit to make Ngannou look stupid?
Interesting for people to realize.
Because I know all the shit that you people don't know. And I don't care what everybody says. It doesn't matter to me. But that's a fact. He was offered more money. Because I know the real numbers.
The Tyson fight and the AJ fight, compared to the 2 Jones fights, which one would you have made more for?
Not even close.
Not even close.
And if this continue, if you want, I can bring up all the numbers. I have all the numbers.
Okay.
I have all the receipts.
The guy took a gamble. It may have been an unadvisable gamble. If you factor in the odds of him being competitive against Fury, which was slim on paper, the expected return of staying in the UFC may have been worth more. But he took that gamble. It clearly worked out for him. He's had a nightmare year in his personal life through no fault of his own. Let the fucking thing go. And now with Francis picking up another win right before Jones versus Stipe, Dana is going to be talking shit like his life depends on it.
PFL's Instagram reel with Francis and Ronaldo did 14 million views. Power Slaps 9 Instagram reel with contender Isaiah had 22 million views. And that was a repost of an old fight. The repost of the old fight beat Francis and Ronaldo. I'm going to tell you what I think about what Francis is all about the money. Francis left because he knew that if he fought Jon Jones and didn't win, it would hurt his chances of making the money that he wanted to make. But realistically, his deal was bigger here. His deal was bigger here if he stayed in the UFC. I think I've told this story a million times. They can deny it all they want. Why the fuck would I lie? What do I care? It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I was going to cut Francis when he lost 2 in a row. I was going to cut him.
That was after the Derek Lewis
fight? Somebody around here begged me not to do it.
Yeah, Jon is one of those challenging guys to deal with, and I think that he's talking about retiring, but will he, if the Aspinall thing is really flying out there? I personally think Jon challenges himself and takes the fight, and yeah, I think he does it.
I don't think Jon will be doing it primarily to challenge himself at this point. I think he will either do it or not do it on the basis of money. That's what you get from Jon's tweets. He's not interested in Tom specifically, but could be coaxed out for a mega payday. And that's kind of the way I've always seen it. I'm sure a lot of people will feel Jones is pricing himself out, but I'd imagine Jones will feel he's finally in a position to price himself appropriately because he's really prepared to retire. That's where I think we'll be. Like Jones just holding firm.
Jon Jones was tweeting today saying he's going to retire. Is that what he did?
Hinting at retirement. And then he said...
Does Dana seem kind of pissed that Jones was tweeting about retiring? Like Dana is out here going to bat for Jon, calling Jones the GOAT and pound for pound number 1. He's trying to make it seem like Jones isn't about to retire because that takes some of the criticism off Jones versus Stipe. And then Jones is out there contradicting him, tweeting about retirement. I mean, look at Dana here.
Jon Jones was tweeting today saying he's going to retire. Is that what he did?
Hinting at retirement. And then he says that, maybe the UFC will offer a deal that I can't refuse to come back and fight Aspinall.
Well, there you go. Okay. You just answered your own question. That's what I think we'll do.
But look, Dana seems to be taking it as a negotiation. Well, there you go. He's not saying he's done. Jon's saying he wants an offer he can't refuse. Dana's taking it as a negotiation.
That dude did everything he could in his power to make Jon Jones versus Francis. The fight did not happen, and let me tell you what, it wasn't because of Jon Jones. Jon is a very unique individual to deal with. Jon Jones will fight everybody. Jon Jones was absolutely positive he wanted Francis.
Oh, that was all Ngannou's fault. Meanwhile, back then he was saying Jones was asking for Deontay Wilder money and pricing himself out.
Man, the idea of a Jon Jones fight seems awfully exciting right now. And Jon came out, tweeted, said, "Show me the money."
If I'm Jon Jones and I'm home watching this fight, I start moving to 85. Listen, I could sit here all day and tell you, what show me the money mean? I tell you guys this all the time. If you can say you want to fight somebody, but do you really want to?
A couple of years later, Jones wanted to fucking fight, and Ngannou was scared. He run off to fight for fucking peanuts, getting knocked out in boxing. The guy just makes it up as he goes along.
Is that something? Is that like a fight that you would try and make happen money wise if he's asking for more money?
We'll do everything we can to make the fight happen. Listen, you're saying, would we make that fight if Jon Jones asked for more fun? What fights don't we make? Other than the Francis thing, what fights don't we make?
Here we go. The guy puts him on this spot, asking if it's all about money, will he pay Jones? And Dana kind of indicates they'll do everything they can. But then he asks, what fights don't we make? And then he himself names the one other fight that they didn't make, partly because, in Dana's words, Jones wanted Deontay Wilder money. So it's the worst example he could bring up. The only fight we don't make is the last time Jones was asking for more money. And what you did last time was you trash him in the fucking media.
You know? And you can't make people fight. And we couldn't make Francis fight. But every other fight we've made.
Here's Tom reflecting on things on his channel.
Jon Jones, I know you got your fight coming up. Apparently, it's in November against Stipe Miocic. Nothing has been announced or signed yet, as far as I'm aware. I'll be there. I'll be ready to jump in with either of you guys for the undisputed title. But if you successfully defend against Stipe in November, I'll be there front row. I want you to hand me the undisputed title as you walk past me, please. Thank you.
Just hand over the belt and nobody needs to get hurt. And there's that creepy rubber duck face and some sinister Clockwork Orange style audio. Who knows what just happened to that poor fucking duck? He looks like he's been violated.
In the 21st century, a weapon will be invented like no other.
Oh my god, what the fuck is this?
Stronger.
In the 21st century, the UK have launched their biological weapon, Tom Aspinall.
Unstoppable. He has only one purpose.
The 6 million pound man. This YouTube video better be intense. I mean, we better see Tom running through brick walls, jumping out of airplanes without parachutes, peeling the skin like silicone from his arm to reveal that he is, in fact, a cyborg. Maybe that's the reason Tom Aspinall is so confident. Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic, these guys are nothing when you've battled androids in space. Oh, God.
In the 21st century...
By the way, this is the type of music that plays inside Jon Jones' head after he snorts a fat one. Just running from the police. Fuck, dudes, not again.
Weapon will be invented like no other.
After my last fight against Curtis Blades, there was some talks about me being the backup fighter. I said, I'm in. Somebody pulls out, I'm in. 1 day's notice, 10 days notice, 10 weeks notice, 1 hour's notice.
This is the coolest thing about Tom. He will go down as one of the most game guys we've ever seen. 10 days notice, 10 hours notice, 10 minutes notice, 10 shakes of a lamb's tail. However long it takes the average 10-year-old to tie his shoelaces. 10 anything. And Tom will be ready.
It's 1 hour's notice. I'll be prepared for that date. So you let me know. I'll be there. I'll be in. I'm ready to take the fight.
The most impressive thing about Aspinall, outside his shockingly abrupt fights, is this willingness to take on the biggest, scariest, most skilled guys on the planet in a minute's notice. It's just really cool to hear.
I'm the number one in the division. Not Jon Jones, not Stipe Miocic. They're a couple of older fellas having a fight.
Oh, good right hand by Stipe.
I am the guy at heavyweight. Stipe, I believe his birthday was yesterday actually. I see, and he's 42 years old. The guy's going to be injury prone. Jon Jones, a million miles on the clock. He's going to be injury prone. Me, I'm ready to go, man. I'm not even in my prime yet. I'm hungry for it, man. I'm not sure these two guys are, but I am. And I'll fight either of them for the undisputed title on any notice. I'm ready.
You know, he could even say Jon Jones is the undisputed champion. But here's the thing. This is an instance where the natural functioning of a division has been disrupted so much that the interim belt is actually more significant and better signifies a true champion than the undisputed belt. So like Tom could easily be saying, I am the real champion, and then just list the reasons. Like neither of these guys are the lineal champions. Ngannou vacated. Both of their title fights were reasonable bouts to pick up after Ngannou left. Jones was the most prominent figure of all four, but Gane was the one fighter of the four we know wasn't the best fighter in the world at heavyweight. Pavlovich was on a murderous kill streak, so both were reasonable opponents. But here's the thing. Tom wanted to unify, but couldn't get the Jones fight, so he defended against the best available contender. Jones is simply not defending against the best available contender. Tom Aspinall remains ready to do so on a minute's notice. So since all things are relatively equal, Tom simply embodies the whole spirit and significance of a champion far better than Jones does at this point. I mean, what makes a champion? Well, they beat the champ. Neither guy did that. But they also ideally continue to prove they're the best by taking on the best challengers. And Jones just won't do that. So I think he should really be banging that drum. In every sense, he kind of already is the champ.
That's what the UFC is. That's what the UFC is based on. Let's find out who the best in the world is right now. Let's not do it on merit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Them guys, Stipe, Jon Jones, their resume is way superior to mine. But let's find out who the best guy is right now.
I'm pissed off for greatness. I believe that I should be the #1 heavyweight in the world. I feel like I've done what it takes to deserve that, and I'm ready to prove it. Jon Jones isn't. That's all I'm saying. The issue that I've got with Jon Jones is he's got the belt. I think I've got the belt too, and I want to unify the belts. There shouldn't be 2 heavyweight champions, there should be 1. There's not a lot else I can do, guys. Everyone's on my side. Keep harping on about it publicly. I've asked a million times privately too to the UFC. They don't want to do it.
You know, that's a very telling soundbite. He says he asked the UFC a million times and they're not interested. You know, he didn't say they're not doing it. He said they don't want to do it. Like, that's the vibe he's getting from the UFC. He thinks they just don't want to do it.
And you keep alluding to the fight everyone wants.
Yes.
Jon Jones.
Well, everyone wants it apart from Jon Jones and Dana White, apparently.
But the thing is, they might be saving Tom in case they need to use him as a biological weapon against Russia.
In the 21st century.
Another Contender Series press conference. Dana's doing so many press conferences these days, he may as well start a podcast.
I just wanted to ask, did you spend some of your days this week just tagging Jon Jones in random Instagram posts that have nothing to do with him?
Here's Dana doubling down on Jon Jones as a pound-for-pound best fighter in the world.
Did I mention to you guys that Jon Jones is the greatest of all time? Did I mention that? He's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, and he's the GOAT. And you all know this. Numbers don't lie.
Does he have pictures of you?
I saw that on the internet too. Are you guys that fucking stupid? You can't be that fucking stupid to think that Jon Jones is not the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world and the GOAT.
You know, there's a lot of speculation about why Dana is so adamant that Jones is the current pound-for-pound #1. And firstly, he just seems to enjoy it. Like, he legitimately lights up when the subject comes up.
It's fucking silly. And I don't know what this game is with everybody, but Jon Jones is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Until this fucking guy... So 18 months, he moved up and he fought Cyril Gane and destroyed him in a weight class above him, who was the #1 guy in the world. Then we book another fight. He's training for the fight, blows his shoulder out, which means he's still active.
So he seems to enjoy the banter element. And some of it could be that he's just in the Jon Jones hype business right now, because Jones has a big fight coming up. And that's a great angle. The GOAT and the pound-for-pound #1 taking on the greatest heavyweight of all time. It sells itself. And you've also got the Ngannou angle. You know, they lost the best heavyweight in the planet. Francis hasn't lost in MMA since leaving. He is the lineal heavyweight champion. So by overselling Jones, it kind of diminishes that loss for the UFC. Not only is the guy who stepped in to fill Ngannou's shoes the best heavyweight, he's the best fighter, full stop. He's the GOAT. He's the best pound for pound. He makes the best sandwiches. He has the nicest handwriting. He snorts the fattest lines. He's the bomb. The guy does fucking everything. So maybe it's about that, kind of diminishing the loss of Ngannou. But I have another theory about this. You know, one of the criticisms lately about the press conferences is that any journalists who would ask tough questions and push back on the UFC have already been weeded out. So he's just kind of getting softball questions coming at him. So maybe it's kind of controlled opposition. It's like theater. Like, he's created an issue that they can push back on as much as they want. They can go wild. Kevin Iole almost tells Dana to shut the fuck up at one point.
You could say that we don't know anything.
Jon Jones
you
is
could say we
active.
Don't know. No, see, that's what you do. You talk over us, so we can't answer.
I apologize. You go ahead.
So maybe he's created an issue to give the illusion of having a real relationship with the press. Like, if someone says, Dana, you're surrounded by a lot of very tame media. Well, Dana can say, what? I'm going to war with these motherfuckers. I'm doing 12 rounds every week. These guys are coming for my fucking blood. And it's like, okay, Dana, what are you going to war with them about? Kevin Iole said Jon Jones don't make the best fucking sandwiches. Have you seen this kid use the mayonnaise? My God. I've been in this business a long time. Anyone who says Jon Jones don't make the best fucking sandwiches don't know nothing about sandwiches. Then he rolls out a promo of Jon Jones making all these really elaborate sandwiches like a Michelin star chef. Meanwhile, Dana's really not getting a lot of pushback on the important issues. So is it just kind of creating the illusion of conflict, or a press that are allowed to push back? Because it really feels like theater. By the way, the pound-for-pound debate is fun, it's not totally irrelevant, but we should never lose sight of the fact that it's not a serious topic. Comparing heavyweights to flyweights is not a serious thing.
You know how hard it is to stay undefeated? Jon Jones went through Murderer's Row when you talk about activity, but Jon Jones was supposed to fight. If Jon Jones was sitting on the couch and saying, yeah, I don't know when I'm going to fight again, then he's definitely not in the pound-for-pound discussion right now. He was scheduled to fight, and he got injured. He is an active fighter. When you talk about pound for pound, and I don't want to shit on any of my other guys, but who is it right now? Islam? Islam, many people believe, lost to the guy who's a weight class below him. Is that how pound for pound works? He was active. He blew his fucking shoulder out in training and then had to recover and is still coming back and fighting that fight.
Yeah, you know, Islam might have beaten Volkanovski twice, but Jon Jones is so good he blew out his fucking shoulders.
Gets surgery, recovering, and is scheduled to fight in November. He is an active fighter. It's not like Jon Jones was not active and was not accepting fights. And I also believe, because I know how Jon Jones is, Jon Jones fights and beats Stipe. If he wins, I think he fights Aspinall. So, but here's the flip side to that. So what do? A guy who's looked at as the greatest heavyweight, this fight set up, Jon Jones gets hurt, not his fault. So do I just yank it away from Stipe and say, hey, go fuck yourself and sit on the sidelines for 2 more years? Or if I did that, you guys would be like, oh, you fucking disrespected the greatest heavyweight ever. And you know what I mean? So would the fucking fans. So,
you know, I actually like what he's doing here because Stipe, to some degree, I mean, you do feel bad for the guy. He had the fight, Jon pulls out, and so he's kind of going to lose this legendary clash and a mega payday through no fault of his own. Like, you would have a lot of goodwill for Stipe, and he is the type of guy who can get brushed aside. He's not a big personality. He's not typically the squeaky wheel who gets the grease. The issue is, as Kevin Iole pointed out, Stipe could have fought for the interim belt against Pavlovich. You know, that would have absolutely secured his place, shown he was still relevant in the title picture, and we'd never have had this problem. So the UFC kind of created this issue for themselves, and it just seems like Tom... But yeah, I can certainly sympathize with Stipe to a degree.
So I should just shit on Stipe because Jon got hurt and not make the fight that he was already supposed to fight.
But then Dana added something I really feel undermines his whole point. I mean, this is crazy. He says, I guarantee you, win or lose, Stipe is going to retire.
So I have two legends in the sport, and this is the fight that they both want. What do you do? You don't show the guys the respect. And I guarantee you this, if Stipe wins, Stipe's going to retire. You know what I mean? This will be Stipe's last fight. So are you, the media, telling me I should just tell Stipe to fuck off and, good luck to you, Stipe. Ride off into sunset. Go fight some fires, and that's a wrap for you, buddy.
Now that is insane. I mean, I think that overshadows every other point. Like, having another champion vacate is the big risk with both guys. But Dana is basically sure that Stipe is going to vacate the belt. And so there is no title unification in Tom's future if Stipe wins. Dana says that like it's an argument in favor of giving the shot to Stipe.
We had this thing lined up. And again, like you said, if Stipe was, 32 years old, then that's probably what we do. But this is probably Stipe's last fight, win or lose.
But I feel like that's the best point against giving him the shot. He isn't the most deserving, and he has no intention of defending it. I mean, what the fuck? It just seems so pointless.
Give Aspinall's a young, badass dude. He's got plenty of time. These guys are going to fight in November, and he will fight Jon Jones if he wins. I almost guarantee you that.
Anyway, if you watch this, you do not get a sense that Dana is going to be fighting for Tom at any point. So you can understand why Tom feels so despondent and dejected by the UFC's attitude.
And if Stipe wins, then we'll figure out what's next for Aspinall. Well, then who knows, too? Let's see if Stipe wins and Stipe feels great. Maybe Stipe does take the fight. I'm just saying, me right here now, I think that if Stipe wins, Stipe probably retires. But you never know until the fight's over. And Jon Jones is the pound-for-pound best fighter.
The next week, Dana came out slugging.
But couldn't help but notice a Jon Jones promo that ran tonight. Yeah, it had a lot of things calling him the GOAT, talking about his accomplishments. There's a lot of stats about him, who he's beaten. I don't know.
Did you guys read them?
There was a lot of stuff.
Did you guys read the stats? Hope you guys read that stat. You know what is fucking great? We're not far away from AI actually doing these rankings, and it'll be a great fucking day when AI starts doing this shit. So I'm really excited about that.
Can't wait for UFC 400. It'll be robots fighting. Computers will be doing the judging. AI will be making the rankings. It's just funny, like Dana thinks AI is going to be on his side. He's as fair and logical and unbiased as a perfect machine. They're going to roll out a little robot. Dana, stop talking out your fucking ass, dude. Here's one other explanation of this. Like, it's very hard to know what's going on, but Dana has tried being tough with Jones before, and that didn't work. Like, if you recall during the Ngannou negotiations, one of the major complaints from Jones was that he didn't feel liked or appreciated.
In any other profession, if you're unhappy with the way you're being treated, you can just, take your shit and leave. And in my situation, I would be forced to retire from fighting completely. My hands are tied. I just wish that my relationship with Dana wasn't the way that it is. I get that you want to make these hundreds of millions of dollars off me, but if you don't like me anymore, if you flat out don't like me, I've never had whiskey night and dinners and shit like that. You feel like they don't really want you there.
My perception is different, and when you say I think Dana doesn't like me, we're reacting to the same stuff. We're watching interviews.
He always sounds like he's on his last gasp.
Hey dudes, welcome to Steve's Wild Rides. Could somebody call an ambulance? I can hardly fucking breathe, dudes.
And my take on it is not that he doesn't like you or that it's
what do you think it is?
I just think that he's been put on the spot saying, Jon Jones wants more money. And so you're kind of at the negotiating table with him in front of the whole world, with the media covering it all.
Anyway, Jones was very unhappy, and now Dana is going out of his way to show respect and appreciation. Imagine Jones watching Dana fighting his case every week. I'd say Jones can't believe it. So could it be building up some goodwill so that after the Stipe fight he can say, look, Jon, I love you, totally respect you, you're the best to ever do it, but we would like to make this Aspinall fight. Let's not go too crazy with the money. What's the real number? He might be thinking respect is a better approach than talking shit, which didn't work. Here's a more recent clip of Tom where he gives the whole game away.
Why is Jon scared of you?
I don't know. Because he wants the easy fight. But I have the faith. That I think Jon's getting a bit ticked off with me at the minute, which is my intention. I'm trying to test his ego to see if he can be like, right, actually, I'm the man at heavyweight, I'm going to show you. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. It seems that Jon is getting a little bit fuming with me, so that'd be nice if he continues.
Telling Jones he's trying to test his ego just takes all the sting out of everything he's saying. It'd be like saying to your boss, I think you're the best leader I've ever worked for. And your boss says, wow, really? And you say, no, I'm planning on asking for promotion next week, so I'm just trying to soften you up. Win over Stipe, that he might want to clobber Tom's mouth shut. But ultimately, I really don't think there's anything Tom can do. After everything Dana said, guaranteeing Jones would want to face Tom.
Is this your retirement fight in November, or no, you got more?
It's going to be the last time.
It's going to be the last time?
It's going to be the last time.
Hey, you're a legend. Hey, thank you.
More than likely.
It was an honor.
Oh, my pleasure. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so probably his last one. Some people say he's afraid. I still think this fight will either happen or not happen on the basis of money. That's my take. I really just don't think he's getting goaded in, especially not by someone as pathologically polite and good-natured as Tom. I think this will come down to whether the UFC will reach deep enough into their pockets. And if the Francis negotiation is anything to go by, they probably won't. So Tom can use whatever strategy he wants. I think the whole thing is simply beyond his control. There's not a lot he can do here.